Hello everyone, I'm Eric Cuesta, and welcome to another one-on-one session at Coral Gables Television. Coral Gables law enforcement will still be coming to work and patrolling the streets even on the wake of COVID-19. But officers and deputies are taking precautionary measures to keep the public and themselves safe and healthy. To answer many questions that our residents may have, here in our studios we have Chief Edward Hudak. Chief, welcome to this one-on-one session.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
As you're noticing, we're keeping that recommended distance just for our own health. That's important.
It's a smart thing to do.
To the point, how was the police force handling the situation of the COVID-19?
Well, I think, the police departments throughout the country, we don't really have a playbook on how to deal with a pandemic. I mean, we've looked at it over the years, but here we are. We're in the middle of one. This touches everybody. So I believe the one good thing about your police department, our police department, is we are very nimble and we're able to change as the direction from the CDC and the Department of Health and the governors and the president and our mayor change. We're able to implement things that we believe are the best practices in merely minutes. So again, there's a lot of unknown, there's a lot of uncertainty, not just for our residents, but also for our officers and their families and our communications operators.
Now, what are the protocols or measures that our force is taking to protect not only their health, but also that of our residents?
2 weeks ago, we actually shut down this department, this building, to people from the outside. We also implemented a screening process. This is all centered around, if you feel sick, stay home. That's the core of the Safer at Home. If you don't feel right, stay home. To that end, we still do have to operate. So our general employees, our non-essential personnel, for lack of a better term, we're allowing them to work from home as everybody else in the city. The police officers and anybody who works in this building is screened every day. Our police officers are screened every day in the field. And they get a wristband, similar to what I've got here, where if you see a wristband of a different color on your officers, everybody needs to rest assured that those officers were checked, asked specific question, and their temperature was taken before the tour of every duty around the clock. Our firefighters are screened the same way. People at City Hall are screened the same way as well. It is the exception to staying at home.
Now, congregating in parks should not be an option right now. And I'm sure we're getting a lot of calls about that and a lot of messages. But what is exactly what is the proper thing to do at this point?
Well, first and foremost, everybody needs to stay 6 feet away from one another. I believe the city, in adherence with the county orders, we closed down the golf courses, we closed down the public parks, we closed down those pools and areas where people usually congregate that are controlled by the city. Now, I'm aware, the Granada Golf Course, the different Prados throughout, people are looking for a place to get out from where they have been. And we understand that, and we're prepared for that. Going forward, the play area of the golf courses are off limits. And our officers are patrolling those areas to make sure people walk around the outside. Any kind of organized activity, whether it be CrossFit, soccer practice, whatever, we're going to stop. We have to stop. We are ordered to stop. So between that and the social distancing that's taking places in Publix and Whole Foods and places like that, we are now engaging the individuals to make sure that the safe social distancing takes place. The way to avoid any interaction with the police is stay home.
Absolutely. Now, I'm considering everything you've mentioned, the stay or safer at home order. Why is it so important? Why should people follow this safer at home order that you have put into place?
No matter what news source you listen to, no matter what elected official you talk to, all of the experts agree. The only way we are going to flatten this curve, the only way we are going to stem the spread of this virus is if we stay away from one another. That goes to in the household if somebody is affected, if somebody tests positive. Isolation means isolation. And that's the only way that any of us know that it's going to make sure that we don't spread it. And it's really not so much for the healthy. It's not the younger kids. It's not the juveniles. It's not the 20-year-olds. It's the older population that we are concerned about.
I'm sure that every officer has a protocol to follow in regards to keeping their units clean and disinfected, and ensuring that if there is an arrest going on or anything that has them to get close to another individual, how are those units being kept?
Well, I mean, we have contracts available to make sure we disinfect our cars every time we had it. And you need to really look at a police car as the police officer's office for all intents and purposes. So they want to keep that clean. A lot of the officers come home, they take their uniforms off. They don't want to spread this. You know, for the most part, and some law enforcement people have said, you know, when we get done with our 8 or 10 hour tour, we usually go home and it's over. We have to get out of our uniforms. We have to clean those right away because you just don't know, and you don't want to expose your family to it.
Now, respecting the mandatory curfew, it's absolutely important. But besides that, 3 points that are your recommendations for our residents to stay safe and stay healthy.
If you don't need to go outside, don't go outside. If you do, make sure you keep your social distancing away. I understand everybody wants to have some kind of social interaction, and Facebook and Zoom is not necessarily doing it. You can't have people into your house. It's almost like letting a stranger in your house. The virus is a stranger. It needs to be treated that way, regardless of who the carrier is. The curfew was put in effect for one reason and one reason only: to give the police officers the ability to interact with anybody on the streets between 11 o'clock at night and 5 o'clock in the morning. There's several factors that went into that decision, which don't necessarily apply to other parts of the county, but it does apply to Coral Gables. We want to be able to interact with everybody on the street after 11 o'clock at night till 5 o'clock in the morning. We don't want the little crimes that we have is the vehicle burglaries, things like that. You don't want somebody infected, one of those younger persons, going through your car, rummaging through that. This is what helps us do that. And it's also to remind the social distancing with people at night.
Chief, thank you so much for being here with us. Thanks for taking the time to answer some of the questions that I'm sure that our residents do have at home while they're, sitting there and waiting for all this to be over.
There's no answer for the anxiety that everybody's feeling. It is natural. You need to just constantly check with the experts and understand that the way we do this is to stay away from each other at least 6 feet and stay home if we have to. That is going to be the key to flattening this and getting out of this pandemic as quickly as possible.
Absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much. And these new norms will be in place for a while now until, of course, CDC and the State Health Department says so or provides a new update. What's important is to adhere to the new norms and make sure that, you stay home. If you don't have to go out, do not go out. To stay informed, visit our website at coralgables.com, and of course, stay tuned to our programming. I'm Eric Cuesta. Till next time, stay safe and healthy, Coral Gables.